All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're here at the Arabia Steamboat Museum. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Far, far away.
Ready?
But what of her treasure? Some said she carried gold. Others said fine china. What was actually there was shrouded in mystery for decades. That is until one family somehow
It's almost a minute, like 20 seconds. I'm gonna wait for them.
The second part of our story happened not all that long ago, and not all that far away. The steamboat Arabia sank about 6 miles away from here, about a mile outside of Parkville, Missouri. She was located next to of everyday friends who simply loved a great adventure. Bob Hawley, along with his sons David and Greg, owned and operated Hawley Refrigeration in Independence, Missouri. Jerry Mackey, a Kansas City restaurant owner and longtime customer and friend of the Hawleys, and Dave Luttrell, a heavy equipment operator based in Stillwell, Kansas. Together, these 5 men took on a task unheard of in the state of Missouri, uncovering an American treasure so forgotten in time that no one even knew it existed. Well, almost no one. On a particularly hot morning in early July 1985, David Hawley was called to repair a broken air conditioner at a residence whose homeowner fancied himself a bona fide treasure hunter. The man was a character, a formidable, gun-wielding man who actually admitted to searching for Bigfoot. The walls of his home were plastered with images of UFOs and maps of old river channels, and he recalled tale after tale of his explorations and theories of lost treasure. However, one of these accounts stood apart from the rest. When asked about the maps on the wall with black dots littering the page, the man simply replied, "Well, those right there are lost steamboats. Rivers are full of them. And if you found just one, and it still had its cargo on board, well, you'd be rich beyond rich." Once back in the service truck, David called his father Bob and brother Greg to meet for lunch at Highboy, a restaurant owned by Jerry Mackey, who came out of the kitchen to listen in. David chronicled all that he'd seen and heard that morning, and the others listened, fascinated by the idea of steamboats and lost treasure. When the extended lunch break was finally over, all 4 agreed digging up a sunken steamboat would be the adventure of a lifetime. The 5th member of the squad, Dave Luttrell, caught word of the search and asked to join in on the endeavor. He was the only one of the group who actually owned a bulldozer, so his membership was warmly accepted. Years of research followed. Newspaper clippings, photographs, and maps were read, copied, and printed. The height and fall of steamboats happened in the blink of an historical eye, from the 1820s through the 1870s. During those 6 decades, nearly 400 ships were lost in the river's muddy waters. The first of these was the Missouri Packet. Built in Louisville, Kentucky in 1818, she lasted only 2 years before sinking in 1820. News stories suggested a cargo of gold and silver coins was still aboard. After learning of the packet and her whereabouts, the partners began the 4-month excavation in the winter of 1987. They worked every day, regardless of freezing temperatures and personal expense. And then, finally, the skeleton of the long-lost steamer was revealed. Shaped like a large, flat-bottomed canoe, this 125-foot or 20-foot long stern wheel carried only a 90-ton payload. And while the river water had washed away the majority of the boat's contents, the treasure seekers recovered the boiler and single engine you see before you, which had somehow remained affixed to the ship. This engine is considered one of the oldest maritime steam engines in the world. As the weather turned back to spring, the group gathered to discuss any interest in trying once again. They had learned of several potential steamboats, but none seemed more intriguing than the story of the Arabia, the great white ship that sunk not too far from the town of Kansas, what we know today as Kansas City. Without hesitation, the decision was made. Find the next boat. Find the Arabia. Continue down the ramp as our story continues. Disaster for the Arabia. Large and valuable cargo lost. All passengers saved. These were the headlines David Hawley discovered in the St. Louis newspaper, dated from September 1856. Using a small boat, the crew of the Arabia had transferred the passengers to the river shore, but were unable to get to the cargo stowed in the hull of the boat. As the sun sank below the horizon, so too did the Arabia. Overnight, the steamer was swallowed up in the quicksand of the riverbed, and by morning, only the smokestacks and pilot house were visible. Those two soon disappeared, leaving the Arabia's exact location a mystery, lost for generations to come. Over time, the river slowly altered its course and pushed itself east. When it moved, it also left behind a wrecked ship, leaving the resting place of the Arabia not in the river, as one might suspect, but in the middle of a nearby Kansas cornfield. The owner of the land, Norman Sorter, whose grandfather had purchased the property in the early 1860s, had known of the Arabia from a young age. Over the decades, there had been several attempts to reach the lost vessel. As early as the 1870s, treasure hunters had searched for the Arabia, not for its cargo of general stores and building supplies, but rather the 400 barrels of Kentucky bourbon that had, as legend told, gone down with the ship. Many had tried. None had succeeded. That is, until the Halls, along with Jerry Mackey and Dave Luttrell, set their sights on recovering the sunken treasure. When asked if he would allow another attempt, Sorter replied, "If you want to waste your time and your money, you go right ahead." After Sorter described the plot of land where the Arabia was rumored to lie, David Hawley began the task of searching the farm field. This process was done with a device known as a proton magnetometer, a high-tech metal detector which displays magnetic values that are present everywhere on Earth. After searching the farm for several hours, David came across a hotspot, presumably the Arabia's large iron machinery. The next step was to determine how deep the boat lay. Though the magnetometer was able to locate the heavy iron boilers, it was unable to accurately indicate the depth of the ship's wooden hull. Through a tedious drilling process, the partners sent a small drill down into the earth in an effort to touch the boat itself. The drill was then brought back up, moved over a few feet, and the process was repeated. Each time the drill touched the boat, the entire drill rig would shake. Every hit was marked with an orange flag. Each miss, the white one. For days, the partners toiled, covering the field with enough orange flags to indicate the exact outline of the boat. The Arabia measured 171 feet long and 30 feet wide. It was buried 45 feet deep and lay an astonishing half-mile from the present bank of the river. At long last, the hiding spot of the steamboat Arabia was revealed. discovered during the drilling process was something that ultimately became the most challenging and expensive part of the excavation: groundwater and blocks of it. 10 feet below soil level, a massive aquifer engulfed the sunken ship. It was this aquifer that made every previous attempt to salvage the Arabia insurmountable. As the cold wind of winter fell upon them, the partners began the task of excavating a treasure untouched by the light of day for 132 years. All that separated them was 45 feet of mud and an unrelenting underground river. Let's continue around the corner to see how our explorers achieved.
Makes it watertight, so that you may notice the gaps between the boards of the Arabian stern. Look right. So the large hinge wooden panel of the Arabia's rudder, as the pilot's wheel turned, the rudder moved and changed the boat's direction. The Arabia could also change direction by reversing one of her two 28-foot paddle wheels. So basically that's how they steered it. All that's made out of wood.
That is actual part of the runs of the steamboat Arabia.
See the Roman numeral IV etched in the beam just in front of the rudder are draft marks. I don't see that, do you? Just in the front of the rudder. Oh, there it is. They indicate the vertical depth of the hull below water level. These same marks were also located on the Kea's bow. Workers used these marks to level the boat each time the crew loaded or removed the cargo. You have to have some good eyes to see it.
Looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
7 marks.
I wonder if they were brighter back in the day so they could see them better.
They might have been.
I guess if you're trained to look for it.
Yeah.
Look up. If you look carefully at the hole, you will see what the remains of the Arabia's exterior paint. Nicknamed the Great White Arabia, she was also known as the fine and handsome steamer Arabia. The action of the Missouri River washed away all but the last hint of white. Huh.
Pretty cool.
You want to go watch that video, or you want to wait for the tour to go through? Looking closely at the twist in the oak boards used in their construction of the outer hull of the Arabia. Workers used giant steam ovens to make the boards flexible and then hammer them into place before they cooled. That sounds like hot work.
The mighty digger machines roared to life and began to descend into the earth to begin removing heavy loads of sediment from the sand. It has been over 100 years since England first heard the tale of those lost steamers from the The years following that, the day team had been filled with countless hours of research, walking hundreds of miles of farm fields and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars chasing the reward of some treasure. All that time, energy, and money has built to this moment. After 2 weeks of open battles, the partners finally stood on the deck of the steamboat. The legend was now at their finest. The story of a burgeoning American frontier and its compromise. Tales of early adventure and their journey west. The hopes and dreams of generations passed on with care and they reached their destination. As our fine partners recover the bodies of the preserved they began to ask themselves what was their role in the history of Eurasia, and what began as a hunt for lost riches became something very Since the Arabia settlement on that fateful evening in September 1856, treasure hunters had long searched for its riches. But we're here today because a decision was made not to cash in on the treasure, but instead to share it. To share a piece of history that belongs to us all. On November 13, 1991, the Arabia Steamboat Museum opened its doors and has continued to share the next chapter of our long-lost steamboat story. The collection you see today remains as the greatest collection of pre-Civil War artifacts ever discovered. The efforts to clean and preserve this extensive collection continues even now. Later in the tour, we will visit the preservation labs and we will see the work being done by our team of preservationists. The large wooden structure behind you is the stern section of the boat. This remarkably well-preserved piece is the largest section of the boat itself and stands today as a testament to the ingenuity and craftsmanship of our American ancestors. Later in the tour, we will visit the theater where one of the museum's original
the tiller arm, and it was hooked to the rudder mount on the back of the steamer. Ropes connected the tiller arm to the pilot wheel 3 stories up, and an earlier wreck on the lower Missouri broke the original tiller arm, but workers fashioned a new one from the tree on the riverbank. So that's like the second one.
It's pretty interesting.
The 2 iron rods located at the bottom of the hull were connected to long steel rods called hog chains. I think that says hog, not hog. Or V or H. Called hog chains. These chains ran the full length of the Arabia. When tightened, these hog chains reinforced the structures of the boat and kept it straight and strong.
I guess you can do it that way.
They go through and then come back around.
Oh, okay.
The summer months were filled with preparing equipment,
Excuse us.
acquiring permits, and hiring an archaeological team.
This is, you know, that's good. Like that team.
And the stones, are they natural stones? Are they beads and stuff? Are they natural?
They're gold black.
They're blown black.
Even a little
So
bit
this
of
was a Wedgwood China from England.
See, look, there's the old one.
these pictures, weather pictures, I mean,
Yeah, I'm gonna get there.
All this is.
I think so. But I know for sure you stuff on top.
That's pretty cool. Very artistic. Thank you so much. It was nice meeting you, sir.
Thank you.
Look at all that.
Went back to his office and see him back there.
My battery's going dead on my phone. My battery's about to go dead on my phone.
Oh, this one right here? That was the first thing they dug up. The first thing they found was this piece. That's what he was saying. That was the first one.
Oh, okay.
Whoever set this up, man, right now.
The porcelain doll in there, it's called a frozen Charlotte doll. The porcelain doll was outstretched arms as a frozen Charlotte doll found in a carpenter's toolbox in the steamboat, Arabia. Frozen Charlotte dolls were popular in the 19th century as a children's toy, also as mortalizing tools. The tale of the fair Charlotte was first recorded by humorist Sibbon Smith in an 1844 periodical. This poem later evolved into a folk song and series of dolls, all with the intent of reminding children to listen to their mothers. You may notice that the doll is nude and is a baby doll, even though the protagonist of the poem is a teenager in a lovely dress. This is typical for 19th century dolls. Girls were encouraged to make clothes for them to practice their sewing skills. And then it gives the poem. That's tiny.
cool. We got to see one of the original guys that dug it up.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely, look at all that. That's definitely going to like stores and stuff. Amazing how that just survived that many years. Oh, look at that pretty one. What is that? That's a cuspidus. It looks like you're looking like at a store window of what they would sell.
That's what it looks like. All this stuff is the stuff they found on the steamboat Arabia.
How are y'all doing?
Good, how about you?
Good. I'll be right back.
Look at this one. Oh, look, the salt dips. You think that's crystal or just glass?
I'd say it's crystal. That's what I'd be guessing.
It's amazing how even the wood was preserved.
Even all those clothespins. Even pencils? Oh wow.
Look at these writing pens. Books on board the Arabia. He was not for a day, but for all time. These words used to describe history's most famous bard are inscribed in gold and on one of the 60 leather books covers found on the steamboat Arabia. Indeed, the complete works of William Shakespeare is a literal treasure that has been survived the test of time, but other titles representing the Arabia have faded into relative obscurity. The Poems of Ossian was a popular book in the mid-19th century, but it was not well known today. It may have fallen out of favor in part due to the long-standing controversy regarding the authenticity of the verses. 18th century Scottish poet James Macpherson, Esquire, claimed to have translated the works from ancient Scottish Gaelic, ascribing them to a single author's name, Ossian. Samuel Johnson and others immediately raised doubts, pointing out that the ancient Scottish poetry was an oral tradition. Another volume of Scottish poetry found on the Arabia is Mark Thomas Pollock, in gold letter on the spine. This is probably an edition of Containing the Seasons by James Thomas, first published in 1730 in the course of time by Robert Pollock, A.M., first published in 1827. Although the century removed from each other, the two epic poems were combined by Boston publishers Phillips, Sampson and Company in 1854, probably to reflect upon the cynical yet fleeting nature of time and its religious implications. Thomas muses that the storms of wintry times all quickly passed, and one unbound spring encircled all, while Pollock describes the world at dawn and at midday, in the decline, time gone, the righteous saved, the wicked damned, and God's eternal government approved. If only the publisher could have imagined that the copy of this book would go down on a shipwreck and reemerge after 132 years underground. Some titles found on the Arabian apparently served more practical functions. Corkham's Grammar was a popular English textbook. The Lady's Companion contained stories, poems, and editorials intended to inspire proper and virtuous conduct for women. Michelle's map of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan was made a memento for the life east of the Mississippi. Still, other titles remain mysterious. A damaged book spine was one of the most of the letters missing read S, F, O, TRU. Search for the truth, maybe? Although all of the paper pages dissolved underwater, the vast majority of the leather book covers were blank. The small library of titles found on the Arabia gives us more insight into the values of our surprisingly, literally pioneered ancestors. What books would you take with you to start a new life? That's pretty cool.
The Shakespeare book.
Shakespeare, and then that religious book that everybody was controversial about that says is gone from time now.
Does that say anything about being a religious book on that one here?
Huh?
They don't have any letters on that one, does it?
No, that's the ones that they're not sure of. But it was this one on the left,
That's Shakespeare.
or this one. Yeah, this one, the Ashton, remember? That's what he was saying. So it was that book that was a religious book, I think. But the pages didn't survive, just the
book covers.
the leather covers. That's why it's amazing that this wood survived so long. The paper didn't.
Look at all
but
these
the wood.
pencils. They
Pencils.
survived.
Yeah, they haven't changed much over
Look
the
at all
years.
these wooden matches, all these pipes, pipe stems, yellow.
Are those clay or iron? What are
I'd say
those
they're
made of?
clay.
Oh, you're right. Clay.
Yellow bank pipe.
So that must have been a brand.
Looks like
Look at all the scales they were selling to the stores. Ooh, the traps. They definitely needed those.
all the buckets.
No, the tobacco chew.
Tobacco chew. For all you tobacco chewers out there. Then a tobacco chew keg.
Look at the slates that the school kids would use in the mirrors. The wheelbarrow. What
Dolly.
Dolly.
No wooden dolly.
That would probably last longer than the one we got.
Oh yeah, look at them wagon wheels. That must be the remains of the only mule that died on the Arabia.
Copper coffee tray with contents from ice book. No, it was in the ice box, so it was ever the meat they were using to feed the passengers. It says copper carving tray with contents from ice box found on the main deck. So that was their dinner.
Well, that's kind of weird.
Well, they would have the whole hog.
Yeah, but you think when it down the water, it would have washed away.
Not the bones. But it was in the ice box.
Oh, it's in the ice box.
Look at all those. Those books.
No.
No. Cigar boxes?
Cigar boxes.
Yeah, cigar boxes. Oh, remember we were talking about bed keys? There, those are bed keys. Those are all bed keys. Look, that don't look much different than today's pliers. Or even a pocket ring?
That's how they pulled your teeth.
Yeah, it don't look much different than what we have nowadays.
No guns. No flintlocks.
Oh wow, look at this. The spring balance for the weights, for the scales.
Oh wow.
It says Holt and Libby's Excelsior. Those are the name brand. It's for the scales.
Counterweights for the pressure relief valves.
On the Arabian boilers. The shark fin stumps, they definitely haven't changed. Brass powder flasks.
Powder flasks for weapons.
Yeah, and those during the Civil War would have been, if they would have survived, those probably would have been in the Civil War.
Eventually. Because this was several years before.
Not that much probably.
About 5 years.
Yeah, less than 10, so those probably would have been in there.
Could have been.
Oh, look, the software bag. It looks just like it's kind of have a design in it.
That was
Somebody's
done-
personal
It
toolbox.
was done naturally.
Yeah,
50-foot tape measure.
those haven't changed much either.
No saw that was left on there.
Pocket levels for the carpenters. Oh, look, no files. Chisels. Chisels haven't changed either. those hand saws. Your dad would like all those hand saws.
He's got several of those. Ooh, squares. Yeah, my dad would have loved all those hand saws. He's got over 300 of his own.
Look at all those planers and level. This is all meant for the warehouse, hardware stores. Saw blades, handles, axes. This is all stuff they would need
Farming.
farming and building their houses. It's amazing how much they were able to preserve.
Oh, yeah. We still got stuff over here.
Ooh, look at these augers. The fact that it was a cargo ship was why.
Sawmill blades. Fireplace shovels, wrenches. There's a bunch of them in there.
Yeah, but think about how many stores they were going to.
These guns that were they found in there. Some of the old boots.
Look how tiny.
It's kind of weird how that mud preserved them. And they didn't deteriorate in the mud.
And they were in crates and stuff too, so it's part of it, but still.
I know it looks original. I wonder if it was on the boat. Fresh Cove oysters.
What are stomach bitters? 23 bottles of bitters were among the medicines of the questionable effectiveness that sank on the Arabia in 1856. Bitters are still available and raising in popularity today. Although their function has evolved. In the past, bitters were used medicinally, at least in theory, but today they are part of the classic cocktails. An 1856 advertisement for Dr. Hofstadter's stomach bitters boast the following benefits. That's true cure for, how do you say that? Dyspepsia will remove all flatulence and heaviness from the stomach, keep you free from constipateness, assist digestion, give good appetite, impart a healthy tone on the whole system, and is a certain preventative of fever and ague. But what exactly is this supposed miracle cure? Bitters are essentially alcohol infused with bitter herbs. An 1859 recipe for the stomach bitters equals to Hollister's for 1/4 its cost, calls for gentian root, orange peel, cinnamon, aniseed, coriander seed, cardamom seed, Peruvian bark, gum quinoa, steeped in alcohol for 2 weeks and strained before mixing with sugar and water. Indeed, Gentag, the star ingredient in most bitters preparations, even today, has been known for centuries to have stomach soothing properties. However, the very high alcohol content of bitters probably outweigh any potential medical benefits. Ooh, jeez.
You got some gin. You can get
They
drunk.
never did find that alcohol that was.
No, they only found one barrel. They used to make a perfume on
Wasn't
this.
it made out of like mercury and stuff too?
I don't
Didn't they? I think there was a deal in history when they were using mercury. It was like radioactive. It was killing people back back in the day. I'll do some research on
More
Those
stuff
needles.
they found on the
that. Sewing needles. Look at the sewing needles.
sewing. Oh, good lord.
But if you're doing leather and stuff,
The ink pens, heads.
and pins and everything that they would need to, they were not like they would buy clothes.
All the thimbles.
And the
And then
beads.
beads. I'm assuming those probably vases or perfume bottles.
Yeah.
Peach seeds. All kinds of different seeds. Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's like a country store.
Look at all the screws. They haven't changed much either. No, nails have changed.
Yeah, they're square-headed back then.
Or you talk about the tap.
All the horse tack.
On the horse tack.
Murray cones. Some old keys.
Oh, look, they're nuts.
Not really sure what that is. Tape measure. Printers. Printers type. Thompson and Butts. Seas Council Bluff, Iowa.
As to where it was headed or where it's coming from.
I'm assuming that's where it was headed. Writing ink. Candles. Slates with slate pens. Sawmill blade. It's like some more matches, clothespins.
Those there are.
Looks like goggles.
Yeah, they're traveler's goggles. And until recently, they didn't realize what exactly they were for. Basically, in this article I'm reading, they were the modern day safety glasses / sunglasses.
Early enamel wear.
That's cool.
Another 50-foot tape measure. Pine tar bucket. There's paint pigment that still has survived. It's like some old type of wrenches. And all enamel. I didn't know they had an enamel back in the days.
Look, this bed springs. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, the glass was found on the,
Oh, it's found on the.
in the cargo of the steamboat. That's pretty cool.
some of the hats and clothing they found.
Yeah, little things saying that
All those old buttons.
today we are mostly experiencing 19th century clothing through black and white photography and illustrations. Fabrics found on the Arabia showed us that pioneers had a taste for intense orange and rich red colors. But look here. Right there. The heart applique on this shirt is possibly a symbol used by the pro-slavery guerrillas to western Missouri during the period leading up to the Civil War, known as the Bleeding Kansas. Referred to as a border ruffians, they used intimidation and violence in the effort to effect territorial elections in Kansas during the 1850s. They reportedly wore shirts wearing symbols like hearts, anchors, or eagles. So that's
Cool.
that is cool.
All this material. Look at those pants. All these buttons, thimbles, needles, brooches, buttons, matches, measurements for belt buckles.
Look at all these hairpins, man.
All the hairpins for all you women out there that need them. Some of the old scissors. This was all found back from an 1856 steamboat that sunk. And look how well preserved they all are.
Look at the leather.
All these leather boots, leather shoes, horse tack, no horse saddle.
Sounds whips.
Looks like some riding whips or something. It's a boot jack. With spurs, stirrups, and I can't remember what those are, but they go on the horse bridles. Curry combs. I'm sorry. If I'd have been looking at it, I'd seen it. Spur and bridle tack. The coin purse, wallet.
Looks like it might have been like somebody's journal or something
Yeah.
for business.
Look at these whips. Wool whips over on the other side. Trying to get a good shot of it.
Yeah, the glass kind of
The
makes
other
it
glass
look-
is making it hard because
But
of
that's
the
what's
angle.
protecting it.
Yeah. There are more bridles.
Wow.
And all the shoes they found.
Somebody lost a lot of money when that went down.
Oh, they did. I'd say back in that day, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, which would be millions of dollars nowadays.
That's the original classic.
This isn't the preservation area, is it? Oh.
The frame picture on the wall is of Henry and Lizzie Hobener and their 9 surviving children. In 1877, only 21 years after the Arabian sank, Henry Hobener financed the first excavation of a steamer with $2,000 ported by sand and water. Hobener's crew fought to expose the Arabians' precious cargo. Upon reaching only as deep as the boat's main deck, the crew found a single box of felt hats and not a drop of Kentucky whiskey. The salvage attempt quickly disbanded. This picture was donated to the museum by Lester Auberholtz. Elizabeth Hobener, the 10-year-old girl sat in the center of this picture, was the mother of Lester. This photo was taken in the late 1800s.
pyramids, standing stones,
Rhinestones.
rhinestones, set more human crosscut saws.
Yeah, some of it was a lot of money. And all this was just some crates waiting for somebody to discover it.
A bunch of axes.
And axe handles.
I'm surprised they would, even though they were in crates, survived.
That's what I'm saying. Now the iron doesn't surprise you.
No.
The leather.
You use leather belts, sawmill belts. They survived. After all that time being 45 feet under mud.
Lightning rod insulators. Look at all the master keys. This is all from buildings. This would be like in a hardware store.
Yeah. Look at all the old, antique door latches.
Oh, there's more of the actual glass. That was a hot commodity back when they did glass in the house, wasn't it?
I think so.
Look at the crates of glass.
Those are the crates of glass that's sitting there. All the original. All this other stuff that they found on it. All these keys. Look at those shoes.
Owned by two different companies, the Ford Rubber Company and the Goodyear Rubber Company. Both used Charles Goodyear's patents of 1849 and 1851.
So what's this here?
That's what protects these
Oh.
as controlling the air.
I guess they couldn't piece this stuff back together.
No, they were saying some of the crates, because of the wreck, actually did break and.
Gotta make sure that they can actually got
Yeah.
Could you imagine finding all this stuff?
How am I gonna do that?
This appears to be some of the engines, steam engines on the boat. There's the remains of the wheel.
It's amazing to me that that bad of a wreck, that was the only casualty.
Yeah. It was the only casualty of the sinking.
Yeah. That's means
and it said
amazing.
that the owner of the mule said he tried to save the mule, but he was too stubborn and he wouldn't leave.
Not a mule.
Oh, never mules. But it's just after those many years that the remains of the mule is still
Yeah, it's amazing that it was preserved so well.
the saddle. And apparently this is all the way to how they found it.
It's a little bit, I would say, it's a little bit different. It is
Here's the anchor of the Arabian.
this one, you just throw the stone into it. Thank you.